Hey guys, this is my little introduction to the course for this summer, Entrepreneurship 4920, Small Business Management. You may have signed up for Management 4920. Sometimes it's cross-listed. It's worth 3 credit hours. We're going to be here for the next 6 weeks. My name's Adam Smith. You can call me whatever you want to in the emails, as long as it doesn't make me feel bad. But Adam's fine. Dr. Smith's fine. Just whatever you're comfortable with. Um, my office is in N145. A lot of social distancing going on, but if we really need to meet, we can do that. I don't have a big problem with that, as long as you're not sick. Um, my phone number is listed there. My email address, which we'll be using a lot for communication, is right there, adam.smith@mtsu.edu. My office hours for the month of July for this entire semester, I'm pretty darn flexible. So, we can meet basically any time that really works for you. If it's going to be online, obviously, um, I'll be a little more difficult to get if we need to meet in person. Um, but just send me an email or uh, if you see me on Zoom, you can just call in. Um, and I'm just going to present the syllabus with this slideshow. So um, this is basically the same information that you will find in the syllabus. It's just that I'm going to walk you through it and maybe add some extra information that's not there that you're probably going to be interested in. But really, everything you need is in the syllabus, and that's available under content, the overview of content on D2L. Um, and yeah, this class is just to study the management practices and problems that relate to the small scale entrepreneur. Small business accounts for well over 90% of all businesses in the country. Of course, they're small, so they really only account for about 50% or so of employees. But there's about 30 million small businesses in the United States, and so it's important that MTSU offers a class like this. A lot of you guys have taken other entrepreneurship classes. I am going to try to not duplicate. There will be some duplication, but not duplicate too much of the material that you've had in those. Rather than focus so much on the startup, although for the first couple of 3 lectures we will be talking about startup, we're going to be focusing more on running the business once you have it going. So it's not going to be too much about idea generation, although we'll look into that and we'll look at opportunities and how to know whether your business idea is a good idea or not, whether it's viable or not. But mostly we're going to, assume that it is, and, get down to the nuts and bolts of how to run your business. All right. Um, Learning goals for this class, we're gonna create working knowledge of the concepts required to plan, organize, operate, and lead small businesses or entrepreneurial ventures. That's probably what you expected. My goal is to increase the probability of success should you become involved in a small business or new venture. Most small businesses fold within 3 years, depending on what industry they're in. Some industries are extremely high in terms of failure rates, but most overall don't make it. So we want to increase the probability of success. Um, I'm going to try to help you get some skills, to get some competencies in examining the situation, problem solving, and continuous learning to read data specifically. And we're going to be involved with a simulation, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, that will help you with that. Number 4, develop business success attributes. So hopefully, this class helps somewhat with work ethic, persistence in the face of adversity. Some of you guys will be facing adversity with the simulation or maybe with other assignments. Hopefully not too much adversity, and we're in a low risk situation, right? It's not as high risk as real dollars and cents in the real world. Um, Hopefully you get the ability to rebound from setbacks and the ability to complete multiple tasks in the context of time constraints. We are going to have a few tasks going on. This class is going to be, there are some lectures. I'm going to be recording some videos. I'll talk more about those in a minute. Um, and there's a decent amount of course material. You'll be reading a popular press book called The E-Myth Revisited, but there's going to be a lot of emphasis in here on what you do. A couple of three, because this is one of the last entrepreneurship courses, small business courses that you'll take. There's a lot of emphasis in here on uh, you know things that you generate, assignments that can help you learn by doing. And hopefully through that you can further develop oral and written communication skills. Um, my expectations for the class are that you complete all homework. There's going to be a few assignments. Homework's kind of a broad name for that. Complete discussion board topics. Read the book that I mentioned a minute ago, The E-Myth Revisited. You're going to be interviewing a small business owner and writing a paper describing and analyzing that business. I have a specific format that I want you to use for that, so don't just run off tomorrow and call up the business owner and say, okay, I've conducted my interview. There are some specific things I want, and you're probably not going to be even in a place to conduct that interview for a couple more weeks, or at least, yeah, for a couple more weeks in terms of having the right class material under your belt so that you know what that format, what I'm asking for with that format. I want you to actively engage in the marketplace simulation. I'll be talking quite a bit that. You'll be hearing quite a bit about that here quickly. We're going to get it cranked up quickly. There are 4 quarters of the first year of a business in that simulation, and through the simulation, you're going to be making a variety of business decisions, but because I want everybody to have enough time to make those decisions and work through the simulation, we need to get it cranked up pretty quickly. And so actually, by June 30th, just here in a couple of days, if you're watching this on the first day of class, I would like to know whether you will be engaging in the simulation as an individual or on a team. I'll talk a little bit more about that simulation in a minute, and you can hopefully make your decision. There are going to be some slightly different requirements for teams versus individuals. I'll require a little bit extra of teams, but not much. Really, if you go at it as an individual, you're going to end up, because you're not sharing the load, doing more work. But as I talk about the simulation, you may decide, hey, I want that simulation experience. I don't want to share that with other people. I want to run my own business, and in that way, be involved in every aspect of the business. And so, so you can take ownership of all aspects and really see how it works together, maybe a little better than the team can. All right. And then there are going to be several times where you either present in oral if you're a team or written form for your bike company. And I will be giving you guidelines for that. Basically, the reports will be the same, same information, but if you're an individual, I'm not requiring that you create a PowerPoint presentation and present it to me in video form. If you do video form, you can either make an Excel presentation a PowerPoint presentation where you record the video, or you can do it to me live, give it to me live
Okay, adding this slide in, so I look different. There are two required materials for the course. The first is a popular press book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. We will be reading that book during the first 3 weeks of the semester. So that needs to be purchased by July 6th. We won't be reading it the first week, but the second and third weeks, you'll be reading it and you'll be writing a paper on it that's due after the third week. So, you need to go ahead and get that purchased as soon as you can so that we can start in week 2. And then even quicker coming up is the business fundamentals simulation that you're going to be going through with your teammates. And you can't sign up for that yet. I sent you guys an email about it on whatever today is, June 24th-ish. And you need to purchase that yourself, but you can't purchase it until I give you your team number on July 1st. And so you're going to have to turn it around pretty quickly. And I'm actually going to make that be worth 10 points of getting it purchased that day. So set a note to yourself to get online and purchase that day once you have your team number and information that you need to order that. The cost of that one's about $40. The cost of the book is about 10 or 12 bucks if you order off of Amazon. So those are the materials that are required for the course. Okay, I had to re-record this slide as well because I changed the course quite a bit. So this is a list of the assignments. This is the nitty-gritty of what you will need to get done to get through the course. All right, so I've got the points breakdown. I'm going to try to describe each of those assignments in a little bit of detail for you. So let me just go item by item. The first one, sign up for the simulation on July the 3rd. You might be able to do it on July 2nd. You're not going to be able to do it sooner than that. So it's worth 10 points. What I want you to do is on July 1st, by July 1st, you've got to give me whether you want to compete in the simulation on a team or as an individual. Then I will come back and give you a team or individual number. I'll assign you to the appropriate simulation depending on your choice. I'll give you some teammates, and then you need to go in as each individual, even if you're on a team, and sign up for the simulation on July 3rd. The reason I'm requiring that is because there's an assignment for the simulation. Other than the discussion boards, it'll be your first assignment for the class that's due the next week with your teammates, and you'll need to have the simulation purchased in order to complete that assignment. So get signed up on July 3rd or lose 10 points. You don't want to lose 10 points right out of the gate. I know that's kind of quick turnaround, so that's why I'm incentivizing you with the points. All right, there are going to be 5 discussion boards. They're going to be worth 20 points each. So, 20 points is not nothing. You want to do a good job on those discussion boards. If you do a solid job, you're going to get the full 20 points. I'm not, super picky on those. I do want solid, good answers to the questions that I ask, though. The E-Myth assignment is the third one. These are a little bit out of order, but the E-Myth assignment will be due sometime in mid to late July. I looked on the syllabus to give me the exact date. I'm not sure right now. That will be over that book that you ordered that I mentioned on the earlier slide. And there's some details for that forthcoming. I'll give you the outline for that assignment, but it's you're going to have multiple pages for that assignment. It's like I don't want to give you a number, but it's going to be like in the 6 to 8 page range. And if that's wrong, I apologize, but I believe that's how I'm going to break it down. There are going to be 2 assignments over the lecture material. So you'll be watching videos like this of me. Sorry, there's no textbook. You've got to learn it from me. You can take notes on that, and then it's going to be application of that lecture material. So it's not just going to be memorization and tell me what I said, but you're going to have to actually apply it. I think with some of the discussion boards and some of those assignments, I will be asking you to apply some lessons to a fictional business, of your own creation or the bike business. I might give you the option to do both. So you're going to be applying what we learned in class and writing up answers based on those fictional businesses. Although if you're in a new business, you can actually, if you've got your own business, you can use that business as well, of course. All right, so let's see here. Those are the assignments. There are going to be 3 simulation assignments. All right, there's presentations through the simulation where you have a chance to earn money for your company. At least that's what those first 2 simulation presentations are. And they are, teams are going to present to me via Zoom, and I'm going to give you feedback and kind of grill you a little bit. Individuals get off a little bit easier, except you've got to do all the work yourself. But you missed kind of the excitement of the presentation. So I'm like a shark, and I'm going to decide how much you get based on your presentation. You're going to get anywhere from, well, there'll be a range, but like from $500,000 to $2 million, depending on how you present. I probably won't give anybody 0, even if you're terrible, because I don't want you to not be able to complete the simulation. So, but there's a huge range in the outcomes. So the outlines for those assignments are on D2L. The first one, that first quarter report, is due during week 2. And then there will be another report where you'll be able to earn additional money for your company during quarter 3. And then the final presentation / report is going to be due the last week of class. And actually, I think I will end up making that one not be a Zoom presentation. That'll just be each individual is going to write up some reflection on the simulation. Okay. And then finally, simulation performance. Let me say a word or 2 about simulation performance. I don't want you to freak out about simulation performance. 90% of the teams that go through my class make an A or a B on simulation performance. If you do well, you make an A. If you do kind of crummy, mediocre, you make a B. If you just bail out and quit, and I'm not seeing effort, or there's massive dysfunction and it's your fault, or your team goes bankrupt just due to completely inexplicable decisions, then you're going to make a lower grade depending on the severity of that issue. And so, it is, each semester there may be one person or one team that makes below an 80%. But I don't want to give a grade lower than an 80%. My idea is everybody struggles and strives and does their best, and every team ends up with an A or B depending on positioning. And actually, there's another presentation about the simulation, but what I'll tell you is there is enough room in the simulation in terms of every team can be successful. So just because you're competing against your classmates, the markets are not so small that it's just impossible that somebody has to lose. So, if you run a really solid company and are doing the right things, you're going to be successful in the simulation. Now, that's not to say that other teams won't eat some of your market share and you might not be as successful as you would have, because other teams are doing great things as well, because if they are, that will certainly eat into your market share. But if you're solid, you're going to sell some bikes. It's a bike. So you'll find out more about that. But again, don't freak out about that, but it is a portion of your grade. It's 100 points, so it's a sixth of your grade. All right, so the grand total is 600 points, and that's the breakdown for the course. Kind of, let's see, 200 points are simulation, 100 points is eMyth Revisited, 200 points are course material, and then the discussion board stuff, which is going to be over some eMyth Revisited, maybe some simulation, and maybe some, well, a lot of my lecture material is going to be worth 100 points as well. So that's kind of how it breaks down. You have to do well in all things if you want to make an A in here. If you want to, make a B, you could be a little weaker on one of those categories and still make a B. All right, so those are the assignments.
These first several topics at the top left, those are kind of background topics that you will need to complete the assignments. All right, so There's going to be an introduction to the simulation, and then there'll be another video or two maybe about the simulation. I will create a video about the book, at least one. And, there's going to be a couple of topics in the simulation that you might find challenging, and I'm going to try to create videos to cover those topics. All right. And then the next group of videos are those that will be covered in assignment 1. And so those are things that are going to be due for that first homework over the video topics. And then the second list will be assignment 2. Assignment 1's kind of more big picture stuff, overall strategy. And in assignment 2, we get into more of the nitty gritty of running a business on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so let's talk more about this simulation. I think that's probably a question that's on a lot of people's minds, is what that's all about. All right, by June 30th, just here at the first week of class, you've got to tell me whether you want to compete as an individual or a team. Basically the main difference is that teams I'm going to require to present in front of me, either in video form or live via a Zoom session, and the individuals are going to be allowed to write up the information. Probably a little bit easier to write up the presentation, but since you're doing everything rather than just half of it or a third of it, it's not actually going to be easier. So the individual route is probably the more difficult route, but again, if you want to get the absolute most that you can out of this assignment, you may prefer to do it as an individual. And so I'm going to leave it up to you. A lot of people would much rather be part of a team, not just because it makes it easier, but because, it might be funner to do it as a team. And so I want to give you both options. All right, what's it going to be like? You are going to start a new company that will be entering a new segment of the bike industry. Basically, this new material, this carbon fiber material came out that we can use a 3D printer to create. All right. And with this new technology, it's going to be possible to make bike parts that are super strong, super light, but less expensive than they have been to build in the past. So what we have is a new technology that's going to disrupt the bike end, or kind of higher ends in the bike industry. So it's going to disrupt the bike industry. And this isn't like, the Huffy and the Roadmaster that my parents bought me at Walmart growing up. These are for people that are really into biking, that have higher expectations for their bike. All right. You're going to be a totally integrated company that does it all. You're going to be marketing, you're going to be producing, you're going to be managing human resources, you're going to be deciding about new features to add to your bike, you're going to be deciding about how many people to hire, production schedules, just lots of different things. You're going to have limited financial resources. Some of that's going to depend on how well you present to me. Teams that really ace the presentation and have a unique slant on things will be given more resources, but if you do a competent job, you're going to be given a lot of resources. If you do a poor job, um, I'm going to give you enough resources to go ahead and do the assignment, so that you don't just completely, don't have any startup funds, but it's going to be a lot more challenging at that point, and that may influence your performance. So you want to do a good job with your presentation or your paper. In 4 decision rounds representing a 1-year period, so basically we're going to do a year in a month, because each period is going to be about a week. You need to evaluate the market opportunity, choose a business strategy, evaluate a lot of different tactics, which are like smaller scale decisions, and then make decisions with the goal of profitability. All right. Um, and then all of the information is going to be combined in the simulation, right? You're going to make your decisions. Your competitors are going to make their decisions. Obviously, the decisions that you make are going to impact the performance of your competitors and vice versa, because the market's not infinite. And so if you guys are building really similar bikes in the same geographic area, going after the same customers, well, then there's going to be some overlap there. And that's going to, hurt your numbers a little bit. And that's just part of it. That's just part of the business world. Um, so there's a little bit of chance involved there, but I will say that there's plenty of room for every team to make money in this simulation. There's no need for any team to struggle just because other teams are successful. If you do a good job with your decisions, you're going to be successful to some extent. But your competitors can certainly impact that. All right. The results are then run through the system. So basically, you have like a week to make your decisions, and then basically in like a 15-minute period, really less, the simulator crunches the numbers, all the decisions that everybody makes, your designs, your advertising, your production decisions, your sales people decisions, crunches all of the numbers, and comes out with your performance. How many bikes did you sell? How much money did you make? How happy are your employees? Things like that, depending on the different decisions that you've made. And then ultimately, I don't think it does it after the first quarter, but after quarter 2, it starts ranking the teams based on how well they're doing and giving you a performance score. All right. So after it gets fed back, at the end of round 1, it gets fed back, it gets fed into the simulator, and then the results pop out, and it's time for quarter 2 after all the teams submit their decisions at the end of that deadline for quarter 1. And then you'll make your decisions for quarter 2 based on the feedback that you got from quarter 1. All right. All right, so here's a list of what marketplace players are going to be doing. You're going to be analyzing market research data. You're going to plan and roll out a marketing campaign. You're going to design and set a price on several brands to appeal to different market segments. You're going to figure out how you're going to sell your stuff, whether it's online or in brick and mortar stores in different geographic locations. You're going to devise advertising campaigns, basically design your ads and figure out how much to fund those. You're going to allocate scarce resources to research and development, manufacturing, advertising, and distribution. You're going to schedule production, how many you're going to produce each quarter is going to be scheduled ahead of time, although it will adjust based on demand. But the scheduling portion is important because how many workers that you decide to hire is going to be based on your projections. And so if you project a lot and hire a lot of workers and then you don't sell a lot of bikes, your workers are just going to kind of be sitting around. On the other hand, if you project a low number and don't hire many workers, but then you have huge demand, well, you can only fill what people asked for. And so that decision is going to be pretty important. You're going to have manage cash. We're going to be talking a little bit about some accounting topics. Hopefully you have a little bit of background in that already, but I know some of you haven't, so I'm going to do a little crash course on the 3 basic accounting statements and just enough information to really let you know what you're looking at. And then you're going to be competing head-to-head with your classmates, and as they make decisions, you're going to be adjusting what you do in response to that, and basically in response to how customers are reacting to to your company. I am pledging to get your grades back to you within a week. That's actually my policy for a regular semester, which I always do that in the regular semester. And I'll definitely do it in the summer, but hopefully I can be faster. But, if I'm not, well, I'm just saying in the syllabus, I'll do it within a week. Um, 3 days is kind of my goal. And really, if I can, I'll grade everything the next day. I will answer all email within 24 hours, with the possible exception, like if you send out an email on a Saturday, I may not answer that until Monday. All right. Assignments must be submitted to the Dropbox on D2L. I'm not going to accept those on email. It's just that, I grade everything in D2L, so that's where I expect to see everything. I will say one thing about my late policy, and that is that I will accept some late assignments, especially with the state of the world right now. Under extreme circumstances, like with a doctor's note, or the death of a loved one or something like that, I'll really extend things more indefinitely. Um, but my primary for everybody, even if there's no extenuating circumstances, you lose 10 points as soon as it's late. But then you have a week to get that in with only a 10-point deduction. After that week's out, though, your window's over and you can't get the assignment in. So if you turn it in within a week, the deduction's pretty limited. After a week, I'm not going to look at it at that point. All right. The one thing I would say is that if you do turn in an assignment late, make sure you let me know that you did that. I can't. It doesn't automatically show me on D2L when a new assignment comes in. I have to go in there and manually look to see if individuals that didn't turn things in the first time came back and turned it in later. And for that reason, I'm not going to be diligent to do that. You need to tell me, hey, I turned that in, go look in Dropbox. please let me know if anything's unclear, if you have any questions. Remember, we want to hit the ground running here quickly. Please order the book quickly and let me know about what you're going to do for the simulation, whether you're going to be an individual or a team, so we can get signed up for that. And then go ahead and start watching those videos for week 1 so that you can be ready to create a discussion board post here at the in the first week. This is a contracted term compared to a fall or spring semester, and so for that reason, we really don't have time to dilly-dally around. We've got to hit the ground running. If you do have those questions, let me know now before you run into trouble. All right, thank you. I look forward to learning with you guys, to meeting you guys this semester, and I think we'll have a good time this summer.